Welcome to this Eurogas Tech Talk, where we look at the technologies that can help to decarbonise Europe and create jobs. My name is Philippa Nuttall-Jones and I'm Editor-in-Chief of Energy Monitor. Today we're going to be speaking to Benedikt Herges, Head of Government Affairs at Siemens in Europe, and we're going to be talking about gas turbines and their role in decarbonising Europe. Hi Benedikt, thank you for being with us today. To start with, perhaps you can explain exactly what is a gas turbine.
So a gas turbine essentially serves as generating electricity. Now, in terms of how it works, think about a rocket that goes up into the sky, right? So you have a fuel mix that is ignited, and then whoop, the rocket goes up. Now with a gas turbine, it's a similar principle. You have air that comes in, is compressed, goes into a combustion chamber where it is mixed with natural gas and then ignited. And then obviously the gas turbine doesn't go into the sky, but the rotor blades start turning. And by the way, the speed of these blades is up to 500 meters per second. So it's faster than the speed of sound actually. And these rotor blades, they are connected to a shaft, and the shaft is connected to a generator, and the generator then creates electricity, the electrons.
Okay, great. And what are the main applications of a gas turbine? What's it mainly used for?
The good thing about a gas turbine is, in terms of application, that it's a perfect companion for changing energy systems. And we know that energy systems are changing all around the world. And this is because the turbine can always adapt perfectly to what the electricity system needs, right? So to give one example, it can provide a steady and highly efficient power supply. For example, in countries where the GDP is growing, where population is growing, or where different parts of society still don't have access to electricity, there a gas turbine is a very good means to provide this access. It keeps power affordable and reliable, and it allows also certain economic countries to build back their economies, for example, in post-conflict regions where they need a solid energy and electricity infrastructure to build an economy. The second use case is really in energy systems where there's a growing share of renewable energy sources. So renewable energy is fluctuating, and in an electricity system, we always need to balance supply and demand. We always need to consume exactly the amount of electricity that is being supplied in every second. And the gas turbines are highly flexible, and they can fill this changing gap between supply and demand at any times. Now, in an energy system that is already, let's say, fully renewable, there a gas turbine can serve as a sort of storage to bridge the time when there is no wind and sun.
So it seems to have lots of uses. It's something which is very powerful. But when we talk about decarbonisation, normally we're talking about reducing the amount of gas that's in our systems rather than increasing it. So in terms of gas turbines, are we talking about increasing the amount of gas, or are we still talking about decreasing it? Is this a technology that will play a greater or a lesser role in this transition?
So I would say gas turbines play a fundamental role in the transition. They play a fundamental role even in a fully decarbonized energy system, in a fully renewable energy system. I would say a fully renewable energy system cannot function without gas turbines. But we have to look at it through the transition from where we are today to the carbon neutral future that we all want to see in 2050. So if I take the shift from coal to renewables, where gas is an important enabler, there already we can reduce emissions between 50 and 75%. Yeah? This is because gas is less CO2 intensive than coal or lignite, and also gas will run less hours. So there are less hours that we will burn gas and produce emissions. Now, and this is very important, not only in the European context, where in many countries there is still a phase out of coal going on. Now we have Germany that want to phase out coal. We still have huge coal capacities in Poland, in Romania, in Bulgaria, in Greece. But globally as well, coal is still the energy source #1 for electricity production. So here it is important that we can reduce emissions immediately. If you think about Germany, Germany is phasing out coal-fired power generation, and it is phasing out nuclear power. So there is no other option to have a sustainable power supply than gas. So if Germany now builds the entire system on renewable energy, on renewable electricity, wind and sun, that is fluctuating, and at the same time we electrify the consumption with vehicles, with heat pumps, etc. So we increase also the fluctuation in demand. So we need a source that can bridge this. A study by one of the leading energy think tanks in Germany, Agora Energiewende, they estimate that if Germany wants to go to a fully renewable energy system, the capacity of gas-fired power stations will increase from 24 gigawatts today to 73 gigawatts. Now, and here it's important to distinguish between capacity and the energy that is actually consumed. Because the energy actually consumed, the gas consumed, will go down. Why? Because we will need this gas-fired power generation as a backup in 2050. So it is only there to provide energy when wind and sun does not produce. To give you one number, in Germany, if Germany now, the entire car fleet was fully electrified and we would discharge the entire car fleet at once down to 50%, so that only 50% remain in the battery, this would keep the lights on in Germany for less than a day. So molecules are really needed here.
Sure. And obviously, although gas is a lot better than coal, it still produces a certain amount of emissions. And in lots of places where we use gas at the moment, there's a lot of discussion about hydrogen. Is hydrogen part of the solution to reduce the emissions from gas turbines?
Yes, absolutely. So hydrogen is a key element. The entire turbine sector has committed to make their turbines hydrogen ready, or to be ready for co-firing. So by 2020, the commitment is to co-fire, to be capable of co-firing 20% of hydrogen. And by 2030, the sector wants to meet customer demand to also co-fire 100% of hydrogen. At Siemens Energy, we can already co-fire 30% of hydrogen across our entire turbine portfolio. And in some turbines, we can co-fire even a little bit more, up to 60% for some. And there are some individuals one where we can go also up to 100%.
So, Benedikt, what are the roles of gas turbines in terms of decarbonising heat?
So gas turbines also here play a fundamental role. We must not forget that heat globally is around 50% of our final energy consumption. And we know that with the renewables, we need to create heat separately, but with gas turbines and CHP applications, we can create power and heat together. So it is a good way to produce the heat, and with the uptake of hydrogen, we can also fully decarbonize heat for industrial processes, for example, where a lot of heat is needed, or also in district heating for larger cities.
And this would be hydrogen that would be generated by renewables or from gas?
Well, the gas turbine is obviously neutral. It doesn't care about where the hydrogen is coming from. It's the same molecule, right? And this depends then on the country. Germany made the choice that it wants its hydrogen to be mainly renewable. Other countries like Norway, like the Netherlands, like the UK also consider the option of blue hydrogen. So this is also possible.
Do gas turbines contribute to Europe's competitiveness?
Yes, absolutely. Gas turbines or turbines, steam turbines as well, actually perfectly match how Europe is competitive. To explain briefly, turbines are volumetric machines. they scale through volume, right? So it's the size of the machine that increases that achieves a higher power output. And the bigger the machine, the more it is a masterpiece actually of engineering. In our latest H-class turbine, we employed more than 350 engineers to develop this turbine. And this is very different from the approach, for example, of solar panels. They increase scale through increasing the number of units. So they scale through mass production. And Europe has never been good at being competitive with mass production. And for turbines, so Europe is still among the top 3 developers across the globe. So it's a very similar setup to the aircraft industry with Airbus and Boeing. And so there we can really be competitive because it is about engineering, it's about innovation, and it's about research.
And perhaps just to summarise, you could just perhaps give us the sentence you gave us before in terms of why gas turbines for you are so important for the energy transition.
So gas turbines are an important part of a future energy system because they secure our energy supply. And we can make it carbon neutral by co-firing hydrogen.
Many thanks for joining us for this episode of the Eurogas Tech Talk, where we look at the technologies that can help to decarbonise Europe and create jobs in Europe. Today we spoke to Benedikt Herges from Siemens Energy about gas turbines and their role in decarbonising Europe. See you next time for another Eurogas Tech Talk.